Hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hello, thank you for stopping by. My name is Oritoke and it's nice to see you guys again. I've been away for a while, feels like forever by the way. It's just few days. In the last few days, I've been having issues with my voice, my throat. Actually, I sing a lot and it has actually affected me a bit, so I've not been able to record videos. And today I just said at all costs I have to shoot this video. Getting an accommodation in Malta can be very tricky, especially when you are new. And I believe there are so many things that people don't know about, which I'll be breaking down in this video. All this information I'm going to be sharing in this video is based on my experience and so far reality in Malta at the moment. And another disclaimer is you have to be careful before you get your signature or anything before signing a contract or getting yourself into any agreement with a landlord, an agent or whatever it is. First disclaimer is that you need to be careful of scammers. The price of apartment is dependent on like the location, the number of bedrooms, the landlord, and the way you go about it, the process. So if you're closer to populated areas or like the location, the landlord, the number of bedrooms, if you're going to be sharing it, or if it's going to be en suite and all of those things. Those are the things that determine the price of apartments, especially if it's in like populated areas or like the central areas. You know that's when you begin to hear high prices. It actually makes apartments expensive. So one reason why I'm shooting this video, so if you're a student or you're coming into Malta to work, these are some of the things that you need to take note of. Is it in the central area? Is it the an area where it's populated and people actually go there? It's a busy place. Those are the things that also determine the price of apartments. So about like the range, if you're going to be sharing rooms, it can start from 500 euros and above, because in the last 1 year that I've been in Malta, I can tell you that at the time I came into Malta and right now as I'm speaking with you, prices of houses are not the same. Apartments, even when you want to buy apartments, like it's not even the same at all. There's a huge gap and things have changed a lot. So starting from 500 euros and above, so you can imagine, meaning one room, I'm just saying like one room, if you're going to be sharing your room with someone, one room in like a 3 bedroom space can be going for like 500 euros, depending on your needs. Like if it's going to be en suite, depending on your needs, you need to these are the things that will determine the price of the apartment. So it's not really fixed. And don't forget that it is constantly changing. One thing to also note is that prices of apartments also changes according to like the time of the year, like summertime, winter and all that. In fact, summer is coming, summer is upon us, it's here already. Things are going to be very expensive. And when I say things, apartments are going to be very expensive. Summertime, prices of apartments, they are usually higher than like the usual, prices. So these are the things that you also need to look into. If you're coming into Malta around, winter, it may not be as it may not be so complicated, but when you're coming in around summertime, there's possibility you would be getting apartments that are expensive. So you need to also think about these things. If you're a tourist and you're coming into Malta also, it's even easier for tourists. You can just do bookings.com, it's easier, or just book an hotel reservation and all that. But for students, these are some of the things that you need to actually take note of before you. I mean, accommodation tends to be like getting expensive and more because of the high demand. More people are coming into Malta, and landlords are increasing the rent steadily, and there's really no clear law regulating these things. So it's regularly like it's constantly changing. These are the things to take note of. More reason why I'm nailing it on the head that you need to always plan well. But that being said, let's talk about some of these things that you need to take note of before I now talk about the requirements and things to look out for to avoid problems for you, to make things easier for you. Another thing to take note of is how landlords can be very picky, and this is reality now. I am not sure most creators will want to talk about this aspect, but landlords can be very picky when it comes to accommodation. I've worked with people, and I've spoken to quite a number of people, and I can tell you that when people try to get apartments, I myself am an example of this issue I'm talking about. When you get there, you've spoken over the phone, you've ended the conversation. Okay, we're coming to see the place. If you like it, you can just rent it outrightly and just pay for it and move in and all that. But when you get there and then they start questioning you and this is what I do, I'm a student, or I'm coming here to work, or I'm here to work, this is what I do, because they talk about that too. They want to know what you do and all. And I'm coming to that. One of the issues that most people are facing, that a lot of people don't talk about, is the landlords being picky. Once they hear your nationality, it's always another drama. It's always another drama. I have someone who spoke about their experience where they had finished everything over the phone. The person was going to rent the house. They had seen everything online. They spoke to the landlord directly from the owner, which can be very easy. It's even easier. And they got there, and then normally how it can be. What's your nationality? Where are you from? How long have you stayed in Malta? What do you do and all that? And then when it got to the stage of nationality, there was a bit of issue. The landlord started acting really weird, started saying, okay, we're no longer giving you for that price. He tried to increase the price. And when people start showing traits that were not there before, you can tell that they don't want to rent it out to you. So landlords can be very when it comes to renting out their apartments. So these are also things that are that can pose as a problem to people when they are coming into Malta, especially when you're not Maltese, so they know that you're another nationality. It is very rare to actually get a landlord who will not bother you, and all those things. This is not to say landlords are stressful in Malta. No, they are good ones, but there are some that will outrightly tell you they don't want to rent it out to you. What nationality are you? And let me not stay on that. One more thing to look out for is good location when it comes to movement, like when you want to move around. There are some places in Malta, I won't start listing them out because it's a lot, but there are some places in Malta that are not like the busy areas, the populated areas, where you hardly get buses. And this is not because there are no buses. There are buses, but the buses are usually timed. Some every 1 hour. So imagine staying in a place where you have to get to work maybe in an hour's time, and maybe something happened that day, and then in the process you missed your bus. Obviously you cannot wait for another 1 hour to get the bus. You might want to start spending money on Uber and all those things, which as a student is not advisable, because I'm sure you want to save money, try to cut costs and all. So you need to also think about that. Location really matters. How often is the bus in that area? How often does the bus pass that area? Access to supermarket and certain things any time of the day, because if you think about the central area, the populated area, the busy places like St. Julian's, like Bekirkara, like Bujiba, if you're in Malta, you can relate. If you're already in Malta, you'll be able to relate. If you're in those places, in fact, every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, you get buses. But places like Jar, places like Gagur, and some places that, they're away from, you know, those central areas, you know that once you miss your bus, especially if it's late night, you're coming from, those are the things that you need to think about. And it's really important. So another thing to also take note of, because there's a lot, because I feel like for me to start giving requirements for accommodation and all, these are firstly like some of the things I need to take note of before you even say, okay, whether you're going to use a landlord or an agent. You have to think about where you want to stay first. So location is one of the most important things to take note of. If you're speaking to a landlord, obviously you've made up your mind. You've made up your mind that you like the place. But if you're speaking to an agent, you obviously you'll be asked, where would you like to stay? You understand? These are the things you need to consider. And not just having access to buses and grocery stores and supermarkets. Also, you need to think about, okay, how often do I go to school? All these things. How often do I go to work? If you're someone that go to school a few times in a week like me, which means you go to work more than you go to school, and then most of your day, like you spend it at home, you'll be able to like say, okay, I have to rent a place maybe around or close to where I work, and then you know that, okay, the 2 or 3 days that you go to school is just once a few times in a week, but if you know that you go to school often, it has to be close to the school. So, that being said, now, what are the things to look out for, to really look out for when you're renting an apartment? Let's state it now, like the important things that you need to look out for so that you avoid trouble. Even as a beginner, someone that does not know anything, like you're just coming into Malta, you don't know anyone. How to avoid scammers? Come closer. Guys, firstly, if you've gotten an apartment and you really like it and you've made up your mind, because that's another thing. When you see an apartment and you know that you like it, you have to like do things fast, because if you don't move fast, someone else will rent it. Like, people are really on the lookout for good houses and all. So if you see a really nice place you like and you want to, one thing to look out for is to make sure that your landlord registers you on the house contract. If you're renting a place where your name is not going to be on the house contract and you did not go through in fact, that's another trouble. You shouldn't even be renting a house outrightly. Whether you're going to be sharing it with someone, you want to share the room with someone, or you want to share rooms with someone in an apartment, your name has to be registered on the house contract. This is not the first time I'm saying it on this channel. I've said it multiple times. It is very important, especially if you are new in Malta and you're a student. You know that your name has to be on the house contract. But if you are in Malta before and you want to move, it's also another case, but it's also important. Your name has to be on the house contract, because when it comes to renewal of cards and all those things, you guys don't know, but authorities, they call your landlords to confirm if you're staying in a place. So imagine moving from, maybe for example, where can I use, let's say you moved from maybe Valletta side to maybe somewhere like Bikilkara, and then you didn't change your name and all, and your name is not on the house contract, the place you just moved into. It can be there can be complications. So these are the things that you need to really take note of. Make sure your name is on the house contract. Make sure you go through the contract itself. Another thing you should look out for is that your landlord, yes, again, your landlord has to register your name under housing authority. Yes, it is very important. And this is important because in a scenario where, like I said, your permit, if you're a new student, you want to register for your permit, or you want to renew your permit, and then you go there to renew it. I said it earlier, they always reach out to your landlord. Hi, hello, is this person here? We just want to confirm if this person is staying here. It can pose as a big problem, you know, if you're not staying any longer in that place and the place you moved to, your housing authority, your name is not registered, by your landlord. It's very important. That's number 2, right? So number 3, if you use an agent, yes, if you use an agent to actually rent a place, what I mean is when you get to Malta, you want to rent a place through an agent, right? If you use an agent, you have to pay the house, like the rent. You also have to pay a deposit and 50% of your rent to your agent. It is very important. But if you're renting directly from the owner, all you just need to do is rent the house, pay the rent, pay the deposit. In most cases, if you've not moved from where you're coming from, that's if you're already in Malta. If you're about to move and you already like the place, you can just, after you've seen that you've signed, your name is on the contract, and you've confirmed that you have a copy of the contract, right? What you can do is give a deposit to be sure that, okay, I'm coming back for this place, I'm going to be moving on, so although that's going to be between you and your landlord, but you have to pay your deposit first and then your rent. Usually your deposit is usually the same amount as your rent. Let's say, for example, you got a 3 bedroom flat with group of friends. Maybe you guys are three and you want to rent each room for yourselves. And maybe, for example, the house in total is 1,500 euros or 1,700 euros. I'm just giving a figure. Sometimes it can be 1,200, depending on the quiet locations, less busy places, depending on the location. But I'm just giving like a round figure, like a figure now. If you get an apartment 3 bedroom flat for 1,200 or 1,500 euros, for example, let's say you have to give a deposit of 1,500 euros to the landlord if you're renting directly from the landlord, and then pay your rent, which is another 1,500 euros. So you can imagine how it is. Yes, guys. That's what I'm saying. These are some of the things that you need to take note of before you even say you want to come into Malta. You need to know all these things. So all you just do is you pay the deposit, which is usually the same amount with the rent. Okay, guys, so let's talk about the requirements for the house contract. Yes, you need to have an idea of what the requirements are so that when they tell you, okay, go and bring this, go and bring that. If they tell you to bring something that's not necessary, you'll be able to identify. First thing is your ID card. Yes. So, in a scenario where maybe you just came to Malta and you are still trying to process your ID card, obviously you are valid here, you're not illegal. Because if you're maybe an immigrant, maybe came through another way, it's a different case. But you came into Malta and you're trying to rent a place for yourself, you're here to do your ID card. You can use your passport. You can use your passport. They just need your passport number. Even if you don't have your ID card yet and you're still doing the process, you just came into Malta, you can use your passport. They just need your passport number, that's all. And you'll get questions like, what do you do for a living? Even as a student, there are times some people actually ask you, okay, how will you be able to keep up with the payment? That's if you have maybe a lot to pay and all that. Some landlords actually ask because they want to be sure that, okay, you can be able to pay constantly, you can be able to maintain the house and all that. But it's in rare, situations that you get questions like that. Most of the time, they just want to know, what do you do? Can we see your ID card? How often? Like, have you ever stayed in Malta before? They want to know if you just came in or you've been here for long. Some people even ask you why you're moving away from where you're coming from, which I don't think it's important, but some people just want to know. So those are just the questions that you'll be getting. And the requirement is just your ID card and then your signature. I've been nailing it on the head since I started this video. Before you even put your name on the contract, make sure you read it very well. In case maybe something goes wrong and maybe you end up not liking the apartment and you want to collect your money back. Like I said earlier, if you've been following me, if you like an apartment and you already spoken to the landlord and he doesn't mind renting it out to you, he doesn't mind your nationality or whatever, you can pay your deposit and in few days, as promised, come back and pay your rent and other people do it. If along the line you come back and you say you don't want to rent the place again, and it was not in the agreement that, okay, if this person comes back to collect their money, you have to hand the money back to the person. If it's not in the contract, that case. So more reason I'm saying, before you actually sign the contract, you have to read it. You have to read everything. So I'm saying this because, like I said, I've spoken to quite a number of people, at least to an extent. I've seen cases where people rent an apartment, they just pay for the deposit, they haven't paid the rent because where they're moving from, they're already in Malta, where they're moving from, like a family, there is still they are still there, the rent is not due yet, maybe like after 1 month then they move in, and then they already paid the landlord the deposit and all, and then maybe later on they came back and they were asking for their deposit because they've seen somewhere else that they like, that's better than the other place, and then they collected their money. But imagine if it was not already on the contract that, okay, if these people are ready to collect their money and all those things, if it's not there in the agreement that this person can come back and collect their money, if you're not okay with it, your money is gone. That one is number one. Number two is, if you're reading the contract and you see something like maybe you can't leave the house, like you can't just tell the landlord you want to leave like that unless you've like stayed till like 6 months. Or in some contracts you even see cases like if you stayed in our house, if you want to leave, you have to tell us like a month or 2 months before. Some landlords they state it there. So imagine if you want to leave the house, maybe you're just feeling like, oh, I want to cut cost. I've seen someone I can stay with as a student, and then you want to move away and you are telling your landlord last minute. It can affect a lot of things. It can cause a bit of argument and all that. So I think one of the reasons why they collect this deposit is probably for when you're leaving the house and maybe some things are damaged and maybe there are some things they need to fix while you're leaving and all. But besides that, it's not really complicated. All you just need to look out for is the contract. So guys, I hope you've been able to learn one or two things. For me, my experience so far is that in the space of 1 year, I have moved 3 times. Yes, you will not believe it. I mean, normally, if you want to leave a place, if you're about to move away from the place, and you went according to like the agreed, whatever is the agreement on the contract and all, you don't have a problem. When you're leaving and the house is in good shape, they're gonna give you your deposit. But guys, beware. All those things. Beware. Avoid cases where you spoil something and you don't fix it. You just your deposit is gone, and you might even be charged more again if so maybe something is bad in the house. That's why when there's a problem in my place, I'm using myself as an example now. When there's a problem in my place, I always call my agent, well, not agent, I always call the person in charge of the house immediately because I got my apartment through an agent and I had to pay 50% of the rent. So you can imagine. So I always call the person in charge of the apartment if there is any issue to avoid any case like, okay, maybe I want to move out and they will tell me, this was not like this when you moved in, this was not like that. So now we'll have to remove it from your deposit. Imagine if your deposit is like 600 euros or 1,200 euros or something, and then maybe something spoiled in the house. It's gone. That's it. So that's how it's done. So for me, I just think I needed to put all those disclaimers. Your budget is the first thing. How much do I have? How much am I earning? How can I keep up with rent? How much can I afford? Number two is the location. Location is very important. How often do you go to school or work? If you're someone who works hybrid now, you know that you don't go to work all the time. You work remotely, you go to work. It's a different thing. But if you're a student, how often do you go to school? Someone like me, like I said earlier, I go to school like 2 or 3 times in a week. If there is need, if they call us for maybe like a seminar, there's something we're doing in school, maybe. But I know that I go to work more than I go to school. What I mean is I don't even go to school most of the time as much as I go to work and other places. So I know that okay, I want to stay closer to like where I'm working. But some people don't mind traveling all the way. So it's what's going to work for you. So your budget, your location, your contract, always make sure you read the contract because it can be a problem, it can cause problems. Number four, you need to make sure you agree. Whatever you know that you cannot take, make sure you agree with your landlord. You understand? Make sure you agree with your landlord. I've seen cases where people move into a house, there's good relationship between them and the landlord, and when it's time to renew the contract, it just allows them and just continues to renew the contract. But in most cases, these landlords, some of them, not all, they're actually very good ones, but some of them would rent a house to you and then the next time they tell you, they're not renting the house out to you, they don't want to renew the contract. These are some of the problems that some of us face as international students that would not like to rent under the school and just go out to rent. So for me, that's all I have for you today. If you need help with renting issues or you want to move or you're just coming into Malta accommodation and all, reach out to me. I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to display it on the screen. Reach out to me at touring countries on Instagram. I'm going to respond to you and I will give you a very viable, like a contact, someone who would definitely get you an accommodation and you will get what you love based on, depending on your budget. I will connect you to the person straight up. It's valid and they won't cheat you. And it will be based on your budget. They will let you know, okay, this is what you can rent. Oh, your money is not, you know, enough for this. I will leave you guys with these things. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things. And guys, this video I had to shoot it at all costs. Like I said, my voice, I've been having issues, but I had to just shoot it because people are asking me, and summer is upon us. People are going to be coming into Malta, students, people who are coming to work, and accommodation is very important. So I had to shoot the video at all costs. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys stay tuned. Like I said, if you need help, chat me up on Instagram, touring countries, and I'll definitely respond to it. If you have questions, please leave it in the comment section below. I will be responding to your question. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye.